With the recent release of the Stranger Things Season 5 teaser, we finally got a closer look into the final season. And thanks to Netflix gods, they finally ditched that cursed bowl cut and gave Will a normal haircut. Took them 5 seasons, but better late than never, right? But bad hair aside, there's been this theory looming around for years, one that's been whispered in the Reddit threads, in YouTube comments alike. Since the story all started with Will, it should also now end with Will. And sure, we've all figured out his classic connection to the Upside Down. Every time he touches his neck, boom, senses Vecna or the Mind Flayer right ahead, and we see him clutching his neck again in the teaser. Deja vu, but here's where things get juicy. What if it's more than just a bad vibes radar? What if this is less, oh no, spooky tingle in my neck, and more like a hidden power, a dark superpower, a secret that could flip the entire story on its head? This is Will's Dark Truth. Wait, don't click off! Seriously, I see you hovering over that slide bar. The easiest way to start unraveling this whole Will is the secret hero theory is by comparing him to the character we already know has superpowers. Elle. She's exploding radios, making lights flicker, sliding into the psychic void, straight up tracking people across dimensions, and let's not forget the D&D symbolism, the mage, and Elle is the mage, the spellcaster, the wielder of otherworldly power. But now, let's throw Will into the mix. Let's begin with communication between worlds. Sure, Elle can radio her way through dimensions, but Will literally blew up 2 phones in Season 1 trying to reach Joyce. And no one else has ever done that. If this was just some random upside down physics thing, then Eddie, Steve, Nancy, and Robin would have done the same trick in Season 4 when they were stuck in the upside down. But nope, they were stuck Morse coding Christmas lights with Dustin. And here's where the case for Will's powers really locks into place, their ability to track people. We've seen Elle do it countless times, slipping into her void space to find her friends, like when she was trapped at Project Nina but still managed to locate the Hawkins crew. But Will actually does the exact same thing. Back in Season 2, Episode 5, he concentrates and finds Hopper's exact location inside the tunnels beneath Hawkins.
Turn right.
What?
I saw him.
Where?
Not here, in my now memories.
In your what?
Turn right!
Back in Season 1, the boys lay out the rules. There are only 2 ways to get to the Upside Down. 1, the portal, and 2, being a Shadow Walker. And at the same time, all of them just assumed that had to mean 11. She was the one with powers, the one opening gates, the obvious choice. But Will has always had this connection to the Upside Down. He doesn't just see into it, he feels it, like it's in his very bones. And in Dungeons and Dragons, the lore of the Shadow Walking lines up almost perfectly with what happens to him. Always cold to the touch, a cruel smile, doesn't seem to bleed, talks to his shadow, and in his case, that's the Mind Flayer who he feels but never answers him back. Black misty breath, which seemed weird at first, until you remember the shadowy tendrils crawling out of his mouth when he's infected. Fear of the dark. Will has never been the same around pure darkness in Season 1. That is word for word the checklist for a Shadow Walker. 11 doesn't fit this at all. She bleeds when she uses her powers, her smile is genuine, her void is a completely separate psychic realm. And the show even sneaks in visual proof. Remember at the end of Season 1, when Will is in the bathroom and coughs up that slug. He flickers like he's suddenly there in the Upside Down. That wasn't just a vision, that was Will shadow walking. His consciousness briefly slipping into the Upside Down while his body stayed in Hawkins. Same with Season 2 during his possession. Joyce and Mike are holding him down in Hawkins, but at the exact same time, he's screaming in the Upside Down as the Mind Flayer engulfs him. That's not Vecna's illusion like with Max, that's a direct connection between realms. Will's body in one plane, his presence in another. He doesn't fully control it either, and half the time it looks like a seizure, but that's the thing, he's untrained. He's been shadow walking without even knowing it. The show makes it look like this is just happening to Will, but the evidence points to something else, that these were his dormant powers, powers he was unconsciously using before the whole Upside Down incident. Think about it, Elle has multiple powers. Holly, her sister, has a completely different set, so why not Will? His abilities don't have to be carbon copies of Elle's, they can be similar, and the show has actually teased 2 other abilities since Season 1, Invisibility and maybe even Teleportation. Let's start with Invisibility. Remember when Jonathan told that Will was always good at hiding?
If he sees the cops, he'll think he's in trouble. He'll hide. No, he's good at hiding.
Yeah, sure, that sounds like normal Big Brother talk, but Stranger Things doesn't put lines like that in for no reason. A scared kid hiding from his abusive father, maybe even from bullies, so what if Will's powers kicked in without him realizing? Invisibility feels like the perfect accidental defense mechanism for a kid like Will, and we've seen how many powers in the show are tied to trauma. Eleven lashes out violently because of her abuse, Holly bends minds because of her pain, so Will turning invisible to protect himself tracks way too well. Then there's teleportation. When Will first vanished in season 1, everyone assumed the Demogorgon dragged him into the Upside Down through some rift. And yeah, well, that's the most likely explanation, the same way Nancy went through that tree. But here's the weird part. The light bulb glow intensifies right as Will disappears. That could mean the Demogorgon was really close and took him there, or it could mean Will straight up teleported into the Upside Down. The teaser for season 5 even seems to promise we'll finally find out what really happened to him that night. Was it a monster that took him there, or was it Will himself? So his potential powers look like this: invisibility, teleportation, and shadow walking. According to D&D, invisibility is a level 1 spell, teleportation is a level 5 spell, and shadow walking is a level 6. But it wasn't until his possession in season 2 that Will fully transformed into something new, because after that, he stops being just a shadow walker and becomes a cleric. Now, if you're not up to speed on D&D, clerics don't generate their own powers. They're given them by a higher being, a god. In Will's case, that would have been the Mind Flayer or even Vecna himself, who literally sees himself as a god.
I could make my own rules. I could restore balance to a broken world. A predator.
And Stranger Things sprinkles in little metaphors for this everywhere. Elle has her stuffed lion, Will has his stuffed lion in Castle Byers, Hopper's daughter Sarah had a tiger doll, and yeah, on the surface, it's just, aw, cute stuffed animals. But zoom out and you see the pattern. Elle and Will share a lion, symbolizing their power. Sarah has a tiger, a different stripe, but part of the same family. A subtle metaphor that Will isn't just another victim of the Upside Down, he's part of the same chosen group. He was always meant to have powers, and this brings us straight into the season 5 teaser. Over and over again we're shown shots of Will looking completely drained, collapsed on the ground, falling, Joyce holding him up. Then we hear this line:
I need you to fight one last time.
Now, Stranger Things doesn't just cut scenes together like that for fun. This isn't poor little Will Byers fainting again. No, this setup is the show screaming that Will is hiding something big. And the final shot of the teaser might have just told us what. We see Vecna looking noticeably thinner and weaker, deflecting what looks like a flamethrower. Except, I don't think it is a flamethrower. If you take a closer look at the background, it actually matches up with the shot right before, where Will is on the ground exhausted. Which means the flames didn't come from Hopper with a torch or from the military, they came from Will, who is now firebending. Okay, not literally firebending, though tell me you wouldn't watch that crossover. What we're probably seeing here is Will casting a fireball spell, and if that sounds too wild to be true, let's roll it back to the very beginning, literally one of the first scenes of the first episode. The boys are playing D&D and Lucas yells this at Will.
I don't know.
Fireball
I'd
him!
have to roll a 13 or higher.
Too risky. Cast a protection.
Fireball him!
If he had rolled a 13, he would have cast a fireball and defeated the Demogorgon in their game, but he didn't. The Demogorgon wins and Will gets taken, and while that doesn't prove he'll be the one casting the fireball in season 5, it sets up something much bigger. Will's willingness to sacrifice himself for the people he loves, because that's been his defining trait since the very beginning. The show keeps layering this theme season after season. Take season 2 for example, when the Mind Flayer is inside him and Eleven is closing the gate. Jonathan and Joyce are terrified as the lights flare and pulse around them, but Will is calm. He even seems at peace. Deep down, he knows exactly what's happening, that Elle is saving them, even if it means destroying the very thing inside of him. And then there's the other detail that makes this fireball theory even more believable. In this scene, Joyce is asking Will about his drawing, and she says,
So he needs the fireballs.
Oh yeah, to burn them to a crisp.
not only does Will talk about a fireball, he's being set up as the one destined to cast it himself. So whether or not that fire blast in the teaser really came from Will, the message is the same. The fireball isn't just a spell, it's a metaphor for Will's role in the story. The boy who got taken in episode 1 might just be the one to help end it all in the final season. But hey, if you enjoyed diving into this upside down of a theory, don't pull a Will and vanish on me, drop a comment, hit that bell, and let's keep this party going. I'm still a small channel, but unlike Barb, I'm not going away anytime soon. So go on, click on one of these other videos before Vecna gets there first.